What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated, unified WBC, IBF, welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Errol the Truth Spence Jr., who is widely considered to be top 3 best pound-for-pound fighters in the world. Errol Spence Jr. is 27 wins, no loss and no draw, 21 big wins by way of knockout. He is today 32 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. He'll be going into a highly anticipated unification showdown with WBA welterweight world champion, your Cuban superstar boxer, Ugas, who is 27 wins, 4 losses, no draws, 12 wins by way of knockout. Ugas is 35 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 69-inch arm reach. Is scheduled to take place April 16th, Arlington, Texas, AT&T Dallas Cowboys Stadium. With that said, today is Errol Spence's birthday, and huge news came out. Errol Spence has signed a massive deal with Everlast. On top of signing a massive deal with Everlast, today is his birthday, and Errol Spence lets the world know it ain't got nothing to do with a birthday. Everybody cutting cake today. I'm making weight, and I'm on the grind. Legacy, strap season, road to undisputed. So, obviously, yesterday, Errol Spence, he held his press conference to officially announce the fight with him and Ugas and promote the fight. Obviously, Errol Spence, has been out the ring for about 2.5 years. He's fought once in 2.5 years. Since unifying the titles against 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Showtime Sean Porter, September 28th of 2019, Errol Spence, we know he suffered a horrific car accident just 12 days later, and he was out the ring for 14 months. He came back December 5th. He fought 2-division world champion Puerto Rican superstar boxer Danny Swift Garcia, which he dominated Danny Garcia December 5th. At AT&T Stadium. Errol Spence, he was scheduled to come back, and he was scheduled to face off against legendary 8-division world champion, iconic Filipino superstar boxer Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, August 21st. But Errol Spence, he suffered a broken detached retina, which saw him have to be pulled from the fight, and he hasn't been in the ring since. So with that said, Errol Spence has fought once in 2.5 years, unfortunately, and he'll be making his ring return. But Errol Spence, he views it as a blessing in disguise, because he stated that you have to go through things to have a journey. It's just part of the road, and it allowed him to get more acclimated with what he used to do and what the sport of boxing meant to him. So obviously, all eyes are going to be on Errol Spence. He understands this, he knows this, and he stated there's no days off, okay? It's the road to undisputed. As everybody wants to see Errol Spence in the biggest fight in the sport of boxing between himself and undefeated 3-division world champion, superstar boxer, who is a former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, and currently is the WBO reigning welterweight world champion, who is widely considered by many to be #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terrence Bud Crawford. Terrence Crawford, 38 wins, no loss and no draws, 29 big wins by way of knockout. He is 34 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. Stylistically, that makes for the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. It makes for the most interesting fight in the sport of boxing. Both guys are very skilled. Both guys are very talented, athletic. Terrence Crawford has the ability, he switches from orthodox to southpaw. Errol Spence is a big southpaw, who's strong, who's sharp, his punches are straight. Terrence Crawford punches are more scenic route. They're more wide, okay, more looping. But Terrence Crawford has knocked out his last 9 opponents, okay, at least stopped his last 9 opponents. So they're both undefeated in their very prime. So everybody wants to see that fight. Obviously, Errol Spence has to get past Ugas April 16th. There's a lot of doubters. There's many people that are doubting Errol Spence. There's many people that feel like, Errol Spence is, not going to be the same guy. So Errol Spence has a chip on his shoulder. He got a point to prove. He wants to show the world that he indeed, is the same guy or even better. He's not even the guy that he was, that everybody fell in love with, the unstoppable force. But he's even better than that. Okay, he was the boogeyman at one point in time in the welterweight division. Now he seems to be the hunted in the division, right? Because he has what everybody wants. And should he pick up this belt from Yordenis Ugas, who is comes from the Cuban school of boxing, Yordenis Ugas is very skilled, very talented, has a high ring IQ, boxing skills. You know, Yordenis Ugas is, he's overlooked as well because of the 4 losses on his resume. One in which came to Sean Porter, a former forward, Errol Spence. And so with that said, Sean Porter had actually fought and beat Yordenis Ugas the fight before Sean Porter fought Errol Spence. And so Yordenis Ugas is skilled, he's talented, he's sharp with his punches. He has a very tight-knit defense, okay? And this is where everybody starts to question whether Errol Spence can get through, because Yordenis Ugas is just as big as Errol Spence. The last time he's fought a guy is just as big as him with skills is Kell Brook for his first world title opportunity. Okay, his first time fighting for a world championship was when he went to the UK and took on Kell Brook. And Kell Brook is a big welterweight. He's actually the same size as Yordenis Ugas. Kell Brook is 5'9" with a 69-inch arm reach. He's an orthodox, very talented, very skilled, very sharp fighter. Okay, there's a lot of similarities with Kell Brook and Yordenis Ugas. The difference is Kell Brook has far more power than Yordenis Ugas. Yordenis Ugas, he sits down on his punches, but he still just doesn't have a lot of pop in his punches. Okay, he's very accurate. Kell Brook has great foot movement. I don't think Kell Brook gets enough credit for foot movement and foot placement. Just like Yordenis Ugas, okay? Kell Brook is very sharp, has a very high ring IQ, and I just think that Kell Brook just simply doesn't get enough credit for his movement and his abilities, okay? Kell Brook is smart. That's what got Kell Brook through the fight with Sean Porter, because he beat Sean Porter, okay? So it's ironic. They all have a common opponent in Sean Porter, and they're 2-1. Errol Spence, Kell Brook beat Sean Porter, and Yordenis Ugas lost. But there's many people that feel like Yordenis Ugas deserved the nod and the win against Sean Porter. With that said, Sean Porter, he presses you every second of every minute of every round. He puts a lot of physical and mental pressure on you. And he didn't do that with Yordenis Ugas. He chose a different style against Yordenis Ugas, okay? And it's ironic because, Yordenis Ugas, is not the bigger puncher. Errol Spence and Kell Brook are much bigger punchers, and Sean Porter was far more aggressive with them than he was with Yordenis Ugas, okay? He was more lax, more boxing, more on his toes, darting in and out when it came to Yordenis Ugas, okay? It was like he was trying to outbox and outsmart Yordenis Ugas. I, for one, believe that Sean Porter wasn't too dialed in with the Yordenis Ugas fight because he already knew the Errol Spence fight was on the back end of it. But that's no excuse. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a lot of similarities to Yordenis Ugas and Kell Brook, okay? Their defense is similar. Kell Brook has a great jab. He was out jabbing Terrence Crawford in his fight. In Terrence Crawford's fight before the Sean Porter fight, he was out in the fight only went 4 rounds. But in the first 3 rounds, Kell Brook was out jabbing and out timing and being first more so and having that success against Terrence Crawford. It took Terrence Crawford to make the adjustment going into the 4th round. Well, actually, at the end of the 3rd round, he switched southpaw and he made the adjustment, and then he ended up stopping Kell Brook. But ahead of that, it took for Terrence Crawford to make that adjustment because he was getting outboxed by Kell Brook because of Kell Brook's jab. The combination punches of Yordenis Ugas was giving Sean Porter problems coming in and out. Now, I personally thought Sean Porter, I edged it out by a round or so. Very close fight. But Yordenis Ugas is not the fastest guy. He's not the strongest guy, but he has great timing. Timing beats speed. That's the reason why he outboxed Manny Pacquiao badly en route to a unanimous decision. I wasn't surprised because I was surprised that Manny Pacquiao didn't overwhelm Yordenis Ugas, but I wasn't surprised that he got outboxed by Yordenis Ugas because, well, Manny Pacquiao gets outboxed. He struggles with boxers, pure boxers with a jab and combination punches that can stay disciplined. So I wasn't completely surprised by that. And he has a lot of success, Yordenis Ugas, with southpaws, okay? And so with that said, Errol Spence is a southpaw, but he's a different type of southpaw than the southpaws Yordenis Ugas beat, okay? Errol Spence is big, strong, strapping southpaw that, puts a lot of physical and mental pressure on you. He has a great jab and great timing, good with combination, great footwork, and a high ring IQ. He's not your average southpaw. He's not the Manny Pacquiao southpaw that are predominantly left-hand dominant, okay? Manny Pacquiao did add a right hook to his arsenal, but for the most part, Manny Pacquiao overwhelms you with his hand speed and his foot speed, not so much of his jab and his technical prowess, okay? Then he beat Ray Robinson. Ray Robinson is a southpaw, but again, Ray Robinson is not as big, strong, and aggressive as Errol Spence is. So I liken this fight to Errol Spence and Kell Brook, okay? He's going to start to physically, in the beginning of the fight, I believe that Errol Spence is going to have trouble, just like he did with Kell Brook. With the timing, Kell Brook had, the timing of Yordenis Ugas, the tight guard. They have a very tight-knit guard, right? Tough to break down when you're Errol Spence and you're changing levels and you're going throwing hooks to the body, right? And so I think that, that's going to take Errol Spence some time to get the timing down. And Errol Spence has a habit of jumping backwards. He's in the southpaw stance, and when they're aggressive, he jumps backwards, right? And it gives them openings. So I think that, that's going to be an issue. He'll fix that, as he did in the Kell Brook fight, where he started to go underneath Kell Brook's punches, pivot in the pocket, and then throw hooks to the body of Kell Brook. I think he'll do the same thing when it comes to Yordenis Ugas. I think his body attack for Yordenis Ugas is going to be a problem for Yordenis Ugas, and I think that he's going to win a unanimous decision against Yordenis Ugas for sure. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button, drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share the videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.